Okay, today we're going to look at constructing a scatter plot. So when you have bivariate data, the very first thing you need to do, as we've explained before, is look for which variable is your explanatory variable and which variable is your response variable. So from there, we always graph on graph paper. We don't have any at the moment, but I'm going to make do without it. So we end up with two axes, our x and y axes. So remember, this is our x, this is our y. Now, for this to work, you need to ensure that you have your variables on the right axes. So your participation rate is your explanatory variable. Your explanatory variable is your x variable. It's the one that goes on the horizontal. So this will be participation, and I write that it's in a percent in my title. So title, remembering a gap for the scale along here. Then I've got hours worked as my response variable. Now I don't need to write that it's in hours because it says hours. So I've got my two titles. Next I need to do a scale. Now I have 0 here. If I go along the bottom here, I have a look at my participation rate. I go from 1 through to 55, so I'm going to go up in tens. Now whatever you choose, you just need to make sure you go up in an even scale. So they don't need to be the same scale on both axes, but this axis down the bottom here, if I'm going up in tens, I start at 0 and I go up in tens. Hours worked, so if I have a look at my hours worked, 35, 53, 40, they don't really go any higher than 53, and they start, 35 is the smallest. So what I want to do is go up in fives, but I don't want to start at 0. So here's what I have to do. This is really important. Graphing convention says, this part here, I need to indicate that I'm skipping with my little heartbeat symbol. Skipping from 0, and I'm skipping some numbers in between in the scale. Then I can start at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Yep. Okay. Now, once I've got my two axes, I've decided which is my explanatory, which is my response. I've put them on the right axis, so explanatory variable goes on the horizontal axis, hours worked, or your response variable, going on the y-axis, your vertical axis. I choose my scale for each of them after looking at the data I have, and I make sure that I do my little skip if I'm going to jump ahead because my data starts well above 0. Now all I need to do is actually plot my points. So the very first one, 26, 35. So if I have a look over to the side here, I can actually write that, 26, 35, x and y. Yep, x, y. It's a coordinate, and that's all we're doing here. So I go 26. I find 26, slightly more, and I can do this properly when it's on graph paper, can't I? 26, sorry, and then 35. So I go across at 30, find 35 on the y, go up 26, plot my point, 26, 35. Next one, 20, 43. So again, I find 20 on the x-axis because it's first, and 43. Once again, much easier when you have lines on graph paper. Then 36 on the x, 38 on the y, 1 on x, so it's well down here, and 50 on the y, 25 on x, 40 on y, 9 on the x, so just before 10 there, then up to 50 on y, 30 on the x, and 40 on the y, 3 and 53, 3 and 53, and 55 and 35. So 55 here, and 35. Yep, that looks about right there. Okay, so once I have put all of my points on, I'm done with my scatter plot. So that is the end of the video explaining how to draw a scatter plot by hand. Now you will also need to learn how to draw one in Excel. That will be in a future video. So please make sure you have copied down this example now that we've done it. Okay, and you need to make sure that you do some of the practice in the textbook of these questions.